Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel BethChatsBooks. Now today I thought I would do a tag video. I have a couple of tags that are piling up and I've had a very busy first full week at work and getting used to my car and doing all kinds of things, so I wanted a lazy Saturday and Sunday where I basically don't do much. And I'm not in the mood to plan any exciting videos just yet. I'm just kind of getting into a rhythm with having a structured week now, so I thought a tag would be a great idea and a good place to start so that I'm consistently filming and I can get rid of booktuber anxiety and catch up on reading, which I haven't done much of this week at all. So anyway, without further ado, let's just get straight into the tag. So I was tagged in this tag by Emma Rosen Books, but the original person who created this tag was Girl Reading, and the tag is called the Rapid Fire Book Tag. So I know I meant to say them really fast, but I did slightly prep before. Guilty, because I didn't want to give an inauthentic self, and some of those questions aren't just rapid yes or no questions or one or the other kind of questions. Some of them require a specific answer, for example a book that relates to the question, and I just thought I want to do this in one take and it be kind of clean, so I did slightly prep. So if I'm looking down, that's because I did give myself rough answers. But without further ado, let's just get straight stuck in. So the first question is ebook or physical book? Physical book, no questions about it. That's my favourite form of reading. Paperback or hardback? Paperback, because I think hardbacks are beautiful but very hard to carry around. Online or in-store book shopping? In-store book shopping for the experience. So I'll have to say in-store, but I do like getting cheap deals online. Trilogies or series? I don't tend to read a lot of trilogies or series, but I put trilogies because I like the fact that the whole series is tied up in 3 books, whereas series can go on for a while. The only exception to that rule is Harry Potter, because we never want Harry Potter to end, ever, do we? Heroes or villains? I put villains. I love a dark character who's got kind of faults that you can identify with at the same time, so it kind of muddies the water around how you kind of feel about villains and heroes on that very fine line. So I find villains much more interesting as a character and their personal development than a hero. A book you want everyone to read? I've put Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, because the world would be a much better place if everyone in the entire world read that book, because I think it's amazing. And I've met so many different kind of readers through BookTube that have all loved du Maurier, particularly Rebecca, so I feel like it's a great universal one to recommend. And then recommend an underrated book, I've put Things We Nearly Knew by Jim Powell, and the reason I say that is because I know so many people love Revolutionary Road, and to me I think it is very similar, and I got a proof copy of it last year and I really felt the same way. I was completely immersed. Basically it's 2 people who own a pub in a forgotten city in America, and it's about their relationship and loads of different secrets that happen. So there's no amazing plot, so I know people who are big fans of fantasy would find it rather slow, but I think the character development of all the characters was very interesting, and I have never heard anybody talk about the book apart from myself, so I thought I would recommend. And then the last book I finished was Strange Ways by Neil Samworth, which I was sent by Pan Macmillan, which is about a prison officer who worked at Strange Ways for over 20 years, I believe, and then he had to leave the profession because he developed PTSD. And I have mentioned it in a previous video, I think the last one I uploaded, so I'll link that down below so that you can go and check out what I thought about it in a little bit more detail. And then the last book you bought, I've had to assume it was Perfume by Patrick Suskind, which I bought in an Oxfam when I went to Stratford-upon-Avon with my boyfriend, which, if you follow my channel, was a long time ago. So at the moment I'm taking books out the library, or I'm borrowing ones that my mum has finished, or I am still going through the current TBR I have in my house. So I haven't bought a book for an exceptionally long time. But my birthday's in January, so that might change. Weirdest thing you've used as a bookmark? So I've just put down a takeaway leaflet, so you know the ones that come through your door, or they try to sell you windows and things like that in a little leaflet form. Sometimes when I used to run out bookmarks I would use those to go down the page with. They work pretty well. And then used books, yes or no? 100% yes. I have no issue with used books. I have no moral issue, I have no snobbery. A used book is amazing, whether it's used from a family member or you buy it from an Oxfam, or you have a friend who's got an old battered copy of a book that you really want to read and they give it you. I think it's amazing. To me, if you really want to read a book enough, then the cover shouldn't really, and the quality that the book is in shouldn't really deter you, because if you just want to read the book first and foremost, find out whether you like it, it's not a big issue. Then if you love it, you can just get a pretty edition yourself, so it's fine, guys. And then top 3 favourite genres. So I've put literary fiction, historical fiction, and I've put psychological dark books, because a lot of people will say, well, isn't that thrillers? But there is this very specific genre of thriller that is like your Gone Girls by Gillian Flynn, Your Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, and then you have kind of murder mystery thrillers like your Agatha Christie's. So you have kind of genres of thrillers, and I don't mean those kind of thrillers. I mean kind of dark books like Perfume, which I've just previously mentioned, like Lullaby, like The Virgin Suicides, like The Silent Companions, things that have a dark undertone. I like dark, twisted characters. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bump in the night. It doesn't have to be a thriller where who's done it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a why done it, but I like those kind of things. Very hard niche genre to explain to you guys, but I don't class it as a thriller. I just class them as potentially dark books. For example, like The Virgin Suicides, you know from the very beginning there's no thriller. It's just an unweaving of how the characters got to that place, and that also happens in Lullaby, and I love those kind of stories. But then I'm also a sucker for occasionally a bump in the night kind of story, which The Silent Companions definitely was. So it's my whole new genre definition, and if any of you guys know what I'm talking about and there's a specific term for those kind of books, please comment down below and let me know, because I don't ever know what to call those kind of books. So there's that. And then borrow or buy, always try to borrow as much as I can. I borrow a lot from my library now, and I'm really enjoying that, because if I don't particularly like a book, once I finish reading it, I have the satisfaction of saying it can go back to the library, but at least I know now. You know, at least I've tried it. So borrow, borrow, borrow all the way. Characters or plot? Characters. I was speaking to Jasmine about this recently, and I'm not adverse to a good plot-driven story, because I think if somebody's a good writer, and like The Silent Companions, I love the characters, but it is very plot-driven to try and figure out what's going on. But to me, characters are a deal breaker. If I don't like the characters at all, then I'm not going to like the book. Whereas a plot, sometimes I can forgive a plot if it's not always that good. And then long or short books, always short books. I really want to read more long books. I've got a whole pile of long books, but I am a bit intimidated because at the moment even shorter books are taking me a long time to read because of a thing called life. And long or short chapters, 100% short chapters every single day of the week, because then it actually makes me enjoy the reading experience better and feel like I'm getting through it more significantly. Long chapters are the bane of my life. And then name the first 3 books you can think of. So I put The Girls, The Muse, The Silent Companions, which I've talked excessively about. Apart from The Girls, I've talked excessively about the other 2 books. But The Girls is one that I'm currently reading, and it's loosely based on the Manson family cult, and about a girl and how she manages to kind of enter the cult, and then she's reflecting back on her experience in the cult in her adult life. And then books that make you laugh or cry. I really struggle to think of a book that makes me laugh, as in I think books are written very cleverly, but I don't read a lot of funny books. I like darker books, like I said to you. So one that's definitely made me cry, but in a very unexpected way, was Tin Man by Sarah Winman, and that dealt with a relationship, a kind of 3-way relationship. It's kind of complex, and I have talked about this book excessively in other videos, which I'll try and link down below if I can remember where I've talked about them in. But it's just a very beautifully done book, and as you learn more about the characters, it softly unfolds, and I think that got me more than any kind of gory or sad or heartbreaking romance or death in other books, because it's just this really soft missed opportunity where the characters don't always explicitly tell each other things, but not because they don't care, it's the adverse, it's because they care too much, and it's just beautifully done, very beautiful, really like it. Our world or fictional world? So I've said fictional worlds, although I love particularly our world but set in the past. But I'll have to go with fictional worlds, because Harry Potter is a world that if I could literally just tap into it and live, I really would. And then audiobooks, yes or no? Audiobooks, always yes. I don't think there's anything wrong with an audiobook. It's also really helped me get my book counts up throughout the last couple of months, because if I listen to one intermittently, it ends up adding up at the end of the month, and when I'm cleaning or doing other things, it's fantastic. Do you ever judge a book by its cover? Yes, 100% always. And sometimes I'm really disappointed because I judge a book by its cover far too much when the book is nothing like the cover, or the cover's really not marketing the book very well. That really frustrates me. My dream would be to go into kind of marketing and publicist work within publishing, and I would love to discuss with other people, you know, read books and then tell them how they should be marketed. That would just be a dream, to sit with authors and people and say, you know, I really think the cover needs to convey this. And Jasmine said to me when we were talking about this the other day that she said, you know, I want you to get into marketing and sort it out because it is a hot mess. So, you know, if any publishers are listening, you know, just message me. No, I'm joking. Book to movie or book to TV adaptations? I put book to movie. I love a good movie. TV adaptations sometimes take up a lot of your time, whereas in one sitting you can immerse yourself in a movie. So, or film, you know, as British people say film. My sister gets really annoyed when I say movie because it's an Americanism. But yes, and then a film or TV show you prefer to its books. Well, I've put Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn because I really didn't like that book. But every time I was reading it, it was very cinematic in style, and then when I saw the film really conveys, I think, what the book wanted it to convey. I think it was very loyal to the book, but it's easier in a film format, I personally feel, because I thought the book was very long-winded, the characters were tedious, the story was going around in loops, whereas a lot of the bit in the book about how people presume it's him at first and then how the media get involved is conveyed much better in film, I think. And then series or standalones, I have put standalones because I don't read a lot of series, and I like sometimes with a book that I particularly love and adore, like something like The Virgin Suicides, to just leave it and not tamper with it and try and touch things too much. So they're just perfect standalones. Rebecca's a perfect standalone. A lot of people have tried to do fan fiction of it, and for example Jane Eyre as well. I loved that as a standalone, but I know that like prequels and sequels, or I know there's a new book coming out that might have come out this year about Heathcliff, and I just like to leave things be. If I love those characters so much, let's not tamper with them. But I know some people love adaptations, and there's a massive market for it, so but I prefer standalones. So that is everything for this tag. I'm sorry if that was really not as fast as other people do it, but I really enjoyed doing it. Just want to say I tag anybody who wants to do this tag. I'm not giving specific names because I've noticed that so many of you have done this tag before, and so many of my favourite channels have done it before, so I'm just giving a massive big open invitation like I usually do, because I'm terrible and don't bother to do enough research to find out who and who didn't do the tag. But it's an open invitation to anybody who wants to do this tag and hasn't. I urge you to do it, because I really want to see people's answers to these questions, and I'm probably going to go now and watch loads of these videos. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to be alerted for when any of my future videos come out, and I'll see you very soon. Bye now.